Good morning everyone. This is Kaylin Kamikawa. The topic to be covered this time is further improvement in transcription accuracy of the subtitle creation application, VRU. Furthermore, I would like to talk about a quantitative evaluation that everyone can understand. In the previous video, VRU's transcription has a very narrow affinity with the video. We have reported that the accuracy varies depending on the video. Among them, one of the factors I noticed: 1. The accuracy improved when the voice was changed to a female voice. 2. When the speed of the video was reduced to around 90%, the accuracy improved. I made a report on these 2 points. However, the method of changing to female voice in 1 is I proposed a method to use an app called RECGO. Unfortunately, this method takes more than 30 minutes, so I gave up because it was not practical. Regarding method 2, you can work in about 3 minutes using an app called VideoDay. Furthermore, it is extremely effective because the speed can be adjusted in 2% increments. By using this method, the best way to transcribe VRU is it turns out that adjusting the speed between 80% and 90%. By this method, even with VRU, we were able to obtain 96.8% transcription accuracy. However, in order to express the transcription accuracy objectively and quantitatively, because it is a good idea to check the typographical error rate word by word and check it manually. It takes too much time for others to reconfirm the reproducibility, etc. Maybe I didn't get much support. Also, the apps I use could only be checked at 2% intervals, so it was difficult to make finer adjustments. So this time, 1. Use a simple method that can quantitatively express transcription accuracy. 2. Use the app KineMaster that can be easily changed to female voice in about 3 minutes. 3. Use the app VBooster that can adjust the video speed in 1% increments. Use this 3 arrows to verify the transcription of VRU. We have achieved further improvement in accuracy, so we report here. First of all, there is a simple way to express the transcription accuracy of 1. If you look closely at the typographical errors in VRU's transcription, unlike other apps, you can see that there are extremely many missing characters, so-called missing characters, not typographical errors. The typographical part has homophones, so I don't think there is much change even if you change the sound quality or speed like this time. Typographical errors are difficult to improve without waiting for the evolution of Google's AI technology. However, regarding the missing character part, this is the part that is most affected by sound quality and speed. Therefore, in order to improve VRU transcription, I think we should focus on how to eliminate omissions. With that in mind, I think it's okay to think of the total number of characters that can be transcribed as one evaluation criterion. I think. So, this time, if the total number of characters was large, there were few omissions. If the total number of characters was small, there were many omissions. Therefore, the one with the largest total number of characters was evaluated as the highest score. Of course, this method is not perfect. Anyone can check the number of characters with a memo app, etc. I think it can be used easily, quickly, and for quantitative evaluation. For the female voice of 2, see the app KineMaster. Chipmunk, Robot, Monster, Twitter, Two-Sided, Alien, Chorus, Confused, Groaning, Bad Man, Ultimate Eco, Slicer, Interesting, Kids, Male, Robot 1, Computer, Black Hole, High and Low, Woman. It turned out that it has 20 kinds of sound change functions and can be used for free. In addition, there are reverse 10 types of echo and EQ 12 types sound change functions. Extremely abundant. Also, if you save it in low quality, you can save it in 3 minutes, which is perfect. This time, I examined the voice of woman. In the case of VRU, number is transcribed with hiragana, so the number of transcriptions will increase and the accuracy will not be accurate, but please take it as a rough outline. If nothing is modified, the transcription number is 4,752 characters and the accuracy is only 87.00%. However, the number of transcriptions increased to 5,303 letters just by making a female voice. The accuracy is 98.09%. In addition, if you use KineMaster and at the same time female plus speed 90% speed, the number of transcriptions has increased to 5,418 characters. The accuracy is 99.19%. If you also use KineMaster and at the same time female plus speed 80% speed, the number of transcriptions has increased to 5,439 characters. The accuracy is 99.58%. If you just made a female voice, the accuracy was the best when the speed was 80%. It was an unexpected result. 3. For video speed adjustment, I used VideoDay last time. I could only adjust the speed in 2% increments and couldn't make fine adjustments. So, I used an app called V-Booster this time. This app can adjust the speed from 10% to 1000% in 1% intervals. With this app, I investigated the speed between 80% and 100% in 1% increments. Furthermore, this time, when the male voice is set to 80% to 100%, in addition to the female voice of KineMaster, the speed is increased by 1% between 80% and 100%. We investigated these two types at the same time. First, if you change the speed only with V-Booster, if nothing was modified, the transcription number was 4,752 characters and the accuracy was 87.00%. As you slow down, the speed is 95% and the accuracy exceeds 96%. You can see that the speed is 92% or 90% and the accuracy is 99%. But if you reduce the speed below 90%, you can see that the accuracy gradually drops from 92% to 90% or less. Also, if the speed drops below 84%, the accuracy will drop significantly and will drop below 80%. In other words, it can be seen that the appropriate range is concentrated in the range of 85% to 95%. Then, if you change the speed of what you made into a female voice with KineMaster, let's see what happens. If you just change it to a female voice, the number of transcriptions is 5,303 characters. This alone is quite accurate, but by slowing it down, speeds between 88% and 83% will now exceed 100% accuracy. It peaks at a speed of 86%. However, you can see that the accuracy gradually decreases from around 82% of the speed. What's interesting is that for male voices, the accuracy peak was 92% speed, compared to 92%. For female voices, the accuracy peak is as low as 80%. Furthermore, in the case of female plus speed, the accuracy peak is 86% speed. This is just the middle of the peak for men and women. I'm a little convinced of this result. For men, slowing down makes the sound too low, so the peak is relatively fast, whereas in the case of women, the original voice is high, so even if the speed is slowed down, the sound is unlikely to be low. As a result, it seems that the peak is coming to a relatively slow rate. And when the female voice and speed are combined, it may have just reached the peak of 86% of the median value. It is thought that this point can be understood by actually listening to the voice. Because even if I'm a human being, female voice plus speed 86% is just a voice that is easy to recognize. Let's actually ask for a moment.
皆さんごきげんよう、上川薫です。今回取り上げる話題は、韓国が世界に誇るワースト1位、出生率の低さについて取り上げていこうと思います。日本においても少子化問題というものは存在するわけですが、それにしても韓国のワースト1位というのはまさに桁違いに悪い状態です。日本国内においては韓国と日本を比較していかに日本が悪い国で韓国が良い国かといったことを話す人たちというものがある一定数存在します。そしてそれらの人々はテレビや新聞報道機関と結託することにより、あたかも自分たちが正しいかのような話というものを延々とするものです。しかし、このチャンネルの動画を見ている方たちには、そうした言葉に惑わされる方はいないとは思いますが、少なくとも一体韓国で何が起こっているかを知り、じゃあどうすればいいんだといったところまでしっかりと考えを及ぼすことが大事だと私は思っています。それでは韓国は日本にとってどのような悪い見本を示してくれているか、早速ニュースを見ていきましょう。韓国の人口、自然減少始まる。出生率 0.84 人で世界最低。韓国の合計出生率が 0.84 に減り、初めて人口が自然減少した。 韓国政府が少子化対策として過去10年間で200兆ウォン、日本円で19兆円を注ぎ込んだが効果がなかった。経済協力開発機構 OECD 加盟国の中で唯一の出生率0人台国家で、他国との差はますます広がっている。24日、韓国統計庁が発表した2020年出生死亡統計暫定結果によると、昨年の出生時は27万2400人で1年前より 10%、3万300人減少した。逆に死亡者は30万5100人で前年比 3.4%、1万人増加した。生まれた子供は減り、死亡者は増えたことで、昨年の韓国の人口は3万3000人自然減少した。
And this time, compared to the conventional adjustment of speed only, the merger method of female voice plus speed is it became clear that the accuracy was improved by about 1%. I'm sure some people will laugh at the question, is it only 1%? In practice, I think it's a tremendous revolutionary improvement. For example, if 3% of a 5,000 character sentence is a typographical error, you have to make a correction of 150 characters. If it was 2%, you would only need to correct 100 characters. In other words, for example, a correction that took 3 hours can now be done in 2 hours. It means that 30% efficiency improvement has been made. This difference is big. However, this precision display by the number of transcriptions is a little too good. Because in the case of Vru, to transcribe the numbers as hiragana, the number of characters will increase. In this respect as well, other apps recognize numbers as numbers and transcribe them, so I think Vru can be improved immediately. In other words, there is still room for improvement. In any case, the true accuracy of Vru can only be determined by examining typographical errors in detail. The transcription accuracy by Vru has finally reached a practical level. The moment has come, I think that's what it means. Vru is a really great app. That is why I would like the author to make further improvements. Please, more better, that's all.